What's a childhood belief you had that seems ridiculous now? I used to think when they showed people at different ages in movies that it was the same actor and they spent 20 years making one movie. The Titanic, for example. I used to be so amazed that they followed Rose around, survived the ship sinking with her, and then waited until she was super old to interview her again. That I couldn't go up in the attic because you had to balance on the beans. My small self was so impressed at the grown-ups walking delicately across a floor of dried beans. Imagine my surprise when I was finally big enough to climb the ladder to look at the attic, with nary a legume in sight. I thought my toys had secret lives and held meetings when I left the room. That cats were girls and dogs were boys. When me and my siblings were kids, our parents told us that polyester came from polyester farms. There were little creatures called polyesters running around on the farms and it was their skin we were wearing, sort of like leather. I believed this until I was into my 20s. My gran always said her dad was Black Irish. Like it was part of every story she ever told about him, how he was Black Irish. So until I was about 8, I thought that meant I was part black. When she finally explained to me it just meant he had black hair and very dark eyes, I felt so stupid. And I have a very clear memory of thinking that there really were tiny people singing just for me from inside my radio. I used to think that the moon followed me around all the time. It turns out that it simply orbits around itself. The typical childish narcissistic mindset. I thought that the priest was God, because everyone kept calling him Father. We prayed at my preschool and I thought God was in my hands when I clasped them together and whispered my prayers into them. Like a miniature God, hearing me pray, lol. I also thought that all song lyrics were autobiographical. I didn't know that most of them are made-up stories and often not written by the person singing them. I thought Dolly Parton actually had to beg a woman not to steal her husband. When I was very young, I was convinced dolls were dead people. Like somehow when everyone died, they were turned into creepy-ass dolls and then given to children to torture us. Needless to say, once my mom gathered that I thought dolls were actual dead humans, she quietly gathered them all up and gave them away. Good riddance. The teachers sleep at school. Thought my stuffed animals could talk when I wasn't around. When I was really little I thought every song I heard on the radio was being performed live at the radio station. We had records around the house, but for some reason I never realized. I think maybe because the folks talking between records were live that everything I was hearing was. When I felt unsafe from monsters in the dark, I demanifest a protective bubble to form around my bed. This bubble stopped monsters. I'm not really scared of the dark anymore and don't believe in monsters. But I still think good, protective thoughts at night. That if no eyes were laid upon me, including my own, my skin was green. Have no idea why I thought this. Maybe I'm one of this reptilianizers. Believing quicksand was going to be a huge problem in life. That if didn't pull off a leaf from every tree I walked past and tear it into tiny pieces, bad things would happen. I used to think you could get pulled over for turning on the light in a car while someone was driving it at night. That I will succeed at anything I want to. That afternoon nap is a punishment.